Yeah.
So, welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. I'm joined by Steve, Kay, and Melvin Marks. How you doing, boys?
Good, thank you.
Good, mate. Good evening, everybody.
Good to have you back, Kieran. Good to have you back.
Thank you very much. I've recharged my batteries, then came home, spent 3 days with the kids. I need another holiday. So it is what it is. It's life. But I can't really complain too much. We've got plenty to discuss. We've got, while we was away, there was the US tour that we went on. A couple of results up and down. In the end, it looks like it's coming good. Some good performances, some not so good performances. Let's call it the good, the bad, and the unfortunate. We'll go through that in a bit. Obviously, there's the news with David Raya interest. What does that mean for Aaron Ramsdale? And, of course, all the updates on the latest transfer news as well. See people already joining us. Nice to see you there, Russ, and good to see you there, Johnny. If you are new to the show, make sure you press that like and subscribe button. If you are a regular, make sure you press that like button, press the share and the copy button, so then we can mess around with that algorithm a little bit. First and foremost, the US tour. It was a bit up, a bit down, but I think overall it was a success. A 2-0 loss to Manchester United involved in that one there. But ended on a 5-3 victory against Barcelona. Steve, did you manage to catch any of the games?
No, not really. I tried to catch up with the highlights, but quite a few of them was. I tried to stay up. But didn't do a good job. Lasted to about 11:30 on one of them. And no, I didn't. But I caught quite a some extensive bits and pieces of highlights. And I similar to what you said there. At the beginning, I thought it was a little bit up. It was some good performances. There was some not so good, but overall, I thought it was a successful tour. Mm-hmm. And up to I'm really pleased with the way the boys are looking. I mean, it all starts really the weekend, doesn't it? Against Man City. I mean, that's still I think that's a big game. I want to win that. I mean, a lot of people say it's Charity Shield, but Community Shield, but that's a big one to win. From what I see, a lot of good performances. Jesus looks sharp. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Hopefully he'll hit the ground running. I thought like Declan Rice fitted in really well. In a couple of games I see him. Havertz scored a couple of goals. He played a couple of halves. So he seems to be fitting in well as well. We had some good performances from people like Kieran Tierney, who I thought was excellent. Again, again he came on and I thought was fantastic, especially against I think Barcelona. It just shows I think how much we needed him when he come on. We just looked totally different. He's given. I think he'll give Arteta an headache, or hopefully anyway. For ML Smith-Rowe looked good. I think it's the best he's looked for a long while. Mm-hmm. So overall, mate, really, really good. Some good wins. The one against Man United didn't matter. The other ones did. So that's the way. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's pre-season. It's pre-season.
That was pre-season.
If we would have won, it would have been the curtain raiser for the season. Trust me.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, what they was doing, the way they was acting. I mean, Jesus Christ, unbelievable. Martinez, that tackling they were put in. Yeah. They thought it was, it was a league game, and Antics on the touchline from Ten Hag, I thought was a little bit embarrassing. But there you go. They wanted to win the match, so I suppose you can't blame them for that. But overall, really satisfied.
Yeah, Melvin, a 5-0 victory against MLS MLS All-Stars, which was to be expected. I think half of that team is a load of Premier League. I won't say rejects, but I've already said it's too late. Their second game was a 2-0 loss to Manchester United, and then a 5-3 victory against Barca. Nothing to get too excited about, but potentially you can spot a few players in there that are looking sharp on the tour.
Yeah, very much so. But I was the Man United game I watched, and I must admit we got bullied. And I thought that Arteta might say something to the Man United manager, like, "Do you want to carry on, or shall we just walk off the pitch here? Because it's not Premier League rules here. It was ridiculous." That Martinez gets away with murder every week anyway, and now it's been highlighted because he did one against. Who they play? Real Madrid, was it?
He done it against Jude Bellingham. He's going to hurt someone.
A nasty one. That was
that was
worse than the one he did on Martinelli.
Yeah.
Far worse. Or was it Saka?
And Saka, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, far worse. And let him get a reputation. So referees might even wake up to the fact and forget what shirt they're wearing. Anyway, that was
quickly, do you think he's playing up to his nickname, the Butcher of Argentina? Or do you just think that's just the way he plays?
Kieran, I think that's the way he plays, mate, because he's not the biggest of footballers.
Yeah.
He's very good on the deck, I must admit. He's terrific on the deck.
Very good ball.
And he can't go in 45, 55. He's got to go in 60, 40 every tackle because of his size. And it suits him. He's very thick, very short, and he's got the strength there, body strength and lower body strength. And he's got to tackle. He's got to be strong. I mean, he goes over the top, in my opinion, but that's what he's got to do. And the more, it's been a succession. Remember, when he first went to United, he wasn't that good. He was all over the shop. And all of a sudden, he's improved a hell of a lot, and he's got that in him. And it's in his. I think it's in his makeup. I don't think he's trying to do it. I think he just that's what it's in his DNA. I don't think he can stop if he wanted to, really. But anyway, away from him, we had some. It's nice to see some players. I mean, out all the new signings, I thought that Timber impressed me the most.
Oh yeah,
he is what I call a complete proper footballer.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have known that he'd never played in that shirt before. He did the easy things. He did the simple things when necessary, and he tried a few things when he could. I thought this guy. The problem is I don't know where we're going to play him, because you have it sometimes when players have 3 or 4 positions, they don't get any. They can't make a position their own because they play in so many, and that's a shame. Because I think he'd be a start for me at right back every day of the week. I know Ben White had a terrific season, but Ben White had to push himself to become that right back. And he's very good, Ben White, don't get me wrong, but I saw him against Newcastle away, and when he came he looked like he was under a little bit of pressure against Newcastle. We played fantastically that game, Jorginho especially, but he was the one I thought, they're playing on him, they can see his weakness. He's not a fullback. I know it doesn't matter sometimes if you've got to tackle someone, whether you're on the touchline or the middle, but they seem to get through him a couple of times. So Timber for me was the star performer for me. You got Saka doing what Saka does. You got Martinelli with his movement and his quick feet. You got nice to see Jesus back, obviously, and I think also you mentioned Smith Rowe, Steve. Yeah, when he came on. I only saw bits of that game. The Barcelona game, I only saw bits. I didn't stay up till 1:30 in the morning because I got a paper round. But I thought the other guy that really stood out was Trossard. He is something special.
Yeah,
he really is. He's just I don't know what position he plays. I don't care. When he gets the ball, he tries to make things happen, and he brings other people into the game. So that was the plus for me. I didn't see a lot of Rice. He was very deep, and that may have been because he wants to bed himself in first. Why shouldn't he? And also in the United game, he was by himself. He was absolutely by himself. Therefore, had Havertz, who played on the left of him, who seemed a little bit off colour or not used to playing in that position, so he wasn't very effective. On the right, Odegaard, who I must admit, I forgot he was playing. After about 40 odd minutes, he got the ball and forgot about him. Genuinely forgot about him. So Rice, I can't have a go at Rice because he was literally by himself. He can't go up and down and sideways as well. He hasn't got that many batteries in him. But no, all in all, it's what we needed. We had to push ourselves, and we did. And very happy. Can't wait for our next game, which is tomorrow. And obviously, Sunday's the big one, though. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I felt like I got a lot out of how the players played on tour. I think as a fan base, I think we got a bit too bogged down in some of the results because Mikel Arteta was definitely trying to try new things. We've got no Zinchenko. It looks like he's going to be missing the first game of the season as well. So he had to try Julian Timber at left back. It wasn't, and I don't think it had anything to do with any sort of favouritism over Kieran Tierney, but he knows what Kieran Tierney can do. He knows that Kieran Tierney is a classic fullback, and he can't play that inverted role. So the likelihood is you'd think that Ben White starts at right back, and he's going to see who's going to come in at left back. And that's, in my eyes, why he tried Julian Timber at left back. But as you were saying, Melvin, Julian Timber slotted in every single position effortlessly, and he is going to be an absolute game changer for us. Also, you said it there as well. It's like he's already playing for us for a few seasons. He's kept it simple. When he needed to pass that ball through and there was a dangerous ball that he could pass through, he done it. When he had to clean up something, he done it. When he had to just stick a toe in, he done it. And he was just there in the right place at the right time. I'm so excited to see what he can do. It gives us more of an option because I think we relied far too much on Zinchenko last season because otherwise we'd have to adapt the way we played. And now with Timber, we've got that option to have an inverted right back as well. And then have Kieran Tierney play because Kieran Tierney does definitely need some game time. I thought the standout performances in the Barcelona game for me, Trossard was brilliant. He was brilliant all tour, absolutely outstanding. I can just see him doubling what he got with regards to assists or goal contributions to last season. Saka, again, looking sharp. Already mentioned Timber. Jesus needs to work on his final bit, whether it's finishing or passing, but he's dribbling. Everything that just comes naturally to him, he was sharp on. In the right positions. Very, very good. I thought Thomas Partey looked good in the first early parts of the Barcelona game. Kieran Tierney, when he came on, showed exactly what he does and why he needs to stay. Because he came on, and within about 2 or 3 seconds of him being on the ball, he whipped in the ball across the box. And then about 10 minutes later, he done the same thing again and we scored from it. And that's what he can do. It doesn't matter who's in front of him. You know what he can do. It's a bit like Saka. You know what he's going to do, but you just can't stop him because he's just going to go at you again and again and again and again. And it's just, we need those sort of honest players in our team as well. For games like against Newcastle, for games like against Villa, some of these teams that might just sit in a little bit deeper and try the low block. We need to have an option to stretch their play, get Martinelli beyond the lines as well. Otherwise, he's going to be isolated in games. A very encouraging tour in the end. I think there's
I
a
don't know
lot
if
to
you
work
think.
on as well.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Go on.
No. It's just because when you was on Kieran Tierney there, there's something to come to mind that I just wanted to see what you two guys thought. It seems to me that while we was on tour as well, is that we sometimes went into that three in the back.
Yeah,
there was quite a few times we went into that three in the back, and I think we're going to see a lot of that next season.
Yeah.
For me, the way I looked at it, from the way I read it, I don't know if you guys read it the same. For me, if we play three at the back, Tierney's in that three on that left side of it. I think it was so evident to see, because when you play three at the back, you need a defender on that left-hand side who can defend, and you also need someone who can go forward when a midfield player drops in to cover that if Tierney wanted to go forward. Yeah. That's Kieran Tierney.
Yeah,
it's not Zinchenko, it's not Gabriel.
No, it's not. It's Tierney. Yeah, it's Kieran Tierney or Jakub Kiwior. They can both very good on the ball. Jakub Kiwior's got a dribble in them as well. It's just as we've said many a time, we're building the depth in the squad. We're giving ourselves different options. Not every player is going to be the same. Some players can do something different, and that's why I think we all agree that it's important that players like Tierney, like Partey, still have a place in the squad, whether it's not starting or what. They need to have a place in the squad. Melvin.
Well, first of all, Johnny's asked, is Rice injured? I think he had a calf, not an injury, just a tight calf, so that should be all right. No problem there with Rice. Also, what I was disappointed about was in the Man United game. I'm disappointed that Bellingham didn't get a decent run because we know what Eddie can do. We know that. He's played for us loads of times. What we don't know is what Bellingham can do against a very good defence. And Man United have got they're a Premiership team. You want to see him against the best. We've seen him in Europe against teams that we can't remember their names. We've seen him in the League Cup as cameo roles as well against teams. Again, I don't remember who we've played. And, he might have played well. I don't think he has played that well against those teams, but he's got to fit in. So I really wanted to see him play against Man United, even if it was like get a half or something, and he never got a chance. And
I think it's because he's gone. I think he's gone, Melv. I think he's gone.
You think so? Yeah, you think so?
I think. I don't know, honestly. I've not. No one's told me he's gone, but
why take him on tour then, Steve?
Just from conversations. Well, it's America, isn't it? Maybe he had family over there or something. I really.
Yeah, he's American. Sorry, yeah, he's American. Yeah, he plays for America.
Yeah,
right.
No, I mean, that's obviously tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, but he took a lot of players. He took a lot of players there, and he took 30 players, and he did. Arteta did turn around and say more or less that all these players won't be at Arsenal next season. So we brought 30 out here, but
we can't forget that in that last game he was injured. So yeah, I don't think Eddie's playing in that last game because he got an extended run in the game before. So I get what you're saying 100%, and there's definitely no smoke without fire because obviously we're going to it a bit later on the latest news on the transfer news, but I do think Balogun would have got an opportunity to play if it weren't for his injury. He played in the 5-0 win. Didn't get long, but he came on in that one. And yeah, I feel like he would have got a game in the Barcelona one. It would have been harsh not to have given him game time if he wasn't injured in the Barcelona game.
I wanted to see it. I wanted Melvin. I wanted to see it play.
Yeah, same here. I felt the same. A few things I did notice. Arsenal, it's not the end of pre-season, so we've got time, but defensive errors. We're making too many defensive errors again. Last season, in the first half of the season, one of our strong points was how clinical we were with our decision-making in defence, how calm and composed players like Saliba were, and then you had, not the opposite, but you had the big, strong, burly defender who just heads it and plays it simple in Gabriel. And now Gabriel's not doing the simple things, and Saliba's not been as composed. And it's kind of this form that they had in the second half of the season. But also on top of that, Martin Odegaard, he loses the ball sometimes in dangerous areas, and it will get better as he gets older and decision making. But he seems to, when he drops into that like deep 8 or 6 on the right, he then might try and turn out of position, and the ball gets robbed off him, and we're on the break, and then they counter. They score from that in the Barcelona game. We saw it a couple of times last season, later on in the season, and it's just those defensive areas that we need to sort of get out of our system before the season starts.
Agree. Yeah,
Steve. You notice the defensive areas. They're unforced errors, we could say, aren't they? The most frustrating.
They are. Yeah, I think you named a couple of names there, and they tend to be the same. They tend to see the same people, don't they? Odegaard made a few towards the end of last season, which cost us you know, in games, in big games. Thomas Partey's prone to them. You know, he can do a loose pass and things like that. Gabriel's got a mistake in him. You know, not 9 times out of 10, these guys are like on the top of their game, but when there is a mistake made or there is something that leads to a goal, that's when you notice them even more. It tends to be, to me, it tends to be the same people all the time. And yeah, I mean, you've named them. You named Odegaard. I mean, I think Partey is prone to that. Even Zinchenko at times is prone to that. You know, making the odd mistake in defence, because he's not a sort of like a, you know, stereotypical like defender like a Kieran Tierney. And I've already mentioned Gabriel. And if you want to be a Man City, if you want to be winning titles, if you want to be, you know, going into latter stages of Champions League, you have to cut that out. You have to stop that. And for me, like you said, Kieran, for me, it's a little bit too regular. You know, it seems to be keeping on happening. And it seems to, we keep saying the same people. We don't say it about Jesus, Trossard, Saka. We don't really say it about Saliba. You know, Ben White, we don't really say it about Ben White. Tierney don't make mistakes. But we bring up the same names. And, you know, we'll probably talk more about a little bit later. But I think Arteta's got to get ruthless. And you know, in some ways, if you know, like sort of like Pep, which I think he is. I think Mikel Arteta, behind the scenes, is you know, someone who don't mess about, don't take, you know, he is ruthless. I think he needs to be ruthless, and I think we do have a manager who is ruthless, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm not talking about him getting rid of, but I really wouldn't be surprised if, like a Thomas Partey kept him up, even if a Gabriel kept him up, kept these up. I wouldn't be surprised if Arteta would be looking about, because I think that's what Pep would do, and that's what Manchester City would do. And I think as Arsenal fans, we have to accept that. Who knows? These players might move on, because we can't have these that keep on happening. And like you've mentioned, it's just getting that little bit too regular.
Melvin, still only pre-season, still time to get these out of the way. As I said, it's the unforced errors that seems to be the problem, the loose passes or the as we saw in on tour, air shots, poor positioning. Things we can get out of our system before the season.
Yeah, blow those cobwebs away, I think, because I think the biggest one I saw was Gabriel's one, where against Manchester United for the second goal. I think it was on the halfway line, and I think he shinned it, didn't he?
Yeah, he tried to swing it, just missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, did the ball have a lot of spin on it? It wasn't a cricket shot, was it? I mean, come on, and it was really poor. That was not even a bad decision, because sometimes you think that a player will, you know, do I pass it or don't I? Do I give it to a person in a bad position, or do I lunge in or don't lunge in? This was basically just kicking the ball, and he made a right hash of it, and that was worrying. The guy had a lot to do. He took his goal very well, having said that, the United player. But yeah, he's got to get. He's going to let him make all the mistakes now. Get him out of the way, and from day one, all the players know now, Steve, that if they don't do it, there's someone behind them now that'll do it instead, which is good news. I don't think we won't. Thank God, I don't think we'll have any more passengers in our first 11. Whatever happens, with a few injuries. That won't happen anymore. And I don't think, and we'll probably come on to that shortly, Kieran, that any player playing for the Arsenal thinks I'm the only one that can play in that position.
Mm-hmm.
They might not think it in their head, I can do what I like, but in the back of their mind, they might think, yeah, I'm reasonably safe. No one is safe now, and that's a good thing for the Arsenal.
100%. One thing we can't forget is these players who we have said we've seen them make a fair few mistakes. The first half of the season, they were immaculate, so there's no reason why they can't do that again. There was hardly any mistakes. We weren't smashing teams like score-wise, but we were playing them off the park and getting 1 and 2 nils in games. And it was the 2 nils, 1 nils that were doing the job. It was when we came back from the World Cup that those nils started turning to 4-3s, 5-3s and stuff like that, and it completely changed the way we played. So I think we can get back. We can get it back. I think it's just concentration and a bit of confidence as well. Another thing I pointed out, Kai Havertz. There was a lot of worry about potentially where he would play, but we saw Kai Havertz play twice in the 8, and by the Barcelona game, he looked a lot more comfortable, dropping in quite a lot as well. Won a few tackles and headers, and some really nice passing as well, linking up with Saka, like some cross-field balls, and then 2 goals on tour as well. Has to be classed as a successful tour for Kai Havertz, Steve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think Kai Havertz would be a success at Arsenal. We did wonder where he's going to play. I think deep down we just always thought that he was going to play in at number 8, and I think, you know, as way it's looking at this minute, he's going to be number 8. It looks like he's going to be a Rice, an Havertz, and an Odegaard. And Partey, as crazy as it says, you know, Partey will be like someone to bring on. I mean, what a player to bring on! It's unbelievable to say that, but yeah, I mean, you need someone with, you know, in a number 8 position, you need someone with quick feet, someone who can score goals, someone who can make goals. It's one of the hardest positions to play on the pitch because you have to do everything. And I think Kai Havertz is probably one of the players in our squad who's more likely to do that. He's more likely to be able to do all those jobs than probably what Thomas Partey could in a number 8 or what Declan Rice could be in a number 8. Havertz played him round about that position for Bayer Leverkusen and was being called one of the best players on the planet when he was at Bayer Leverkusen. Everybody under the sun wanted him. So what we want is for Arteta to get that player back out in his position and do what he does. And as you said, when he was playing in there in pre-season, you know, he was doing some lovely moves. He's got a fantastic touch. He's got a great sort of, like, you know, he's got this ability to know where everyone is on the pitch. He seems to, by the way he pulls away from defenders in the box as well. I thought that was very impressive. You know, 2 goals, 6'4". You know, can give Arsenal something different that we didn't have, you know, last season from free kicks and corners. I'm really excited to see, like, Kai Havertz. I mean, in that team, because if we can get the best, you know, do you know how I see this? I see this. I'm not saying he will go on to be as good as this player, but I see that similar. He went to the same club as Chelsea. Someone who had all the tricks, all the ability in the world, like Kevin De Bruyne, and was just looked upon as absolutely, you can't even get in our team, you can't get in our bench, so they got rid. You know, I hope we see another Havertz thing from like that we get Havertz and he comes into Arsenal and he gives us that type, and probably not on that same level De Bruyne, but somewhere around that. And I think he has got incredible ability. And I think he could be special for us next season with next to Declan Rice, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I am too excited. I think he's got a much higher bar than what Chelsea fans give him credit for. I mean, we spoke about what Pat Nevin was saying, that he doesn't think it was a good deal for Chelsea, and he thinks that they've let go an absolute gem here. Kai Havertz in the number 8. Melvin, are you buying into it a bit more now after the tour? Or you need more time?
When I saw him in the Barcelona game, most certainly. Not so much the United game. Like I said, he looked a bit lost. But I didn't realise, I didn't study him because he's a Chelsea player. I didn't realise how strong he was.
How tall he is.
And how tall he is,
6'4",
strong he is.
Yeah.
And also, for his height, he's very fast.
Yep.
he's got all the attributes there. All I remember him is playing up front for Chelsea and looking miserable, and missing a few goals, not quite getting there. You know, not having perhaps the support he could have had. I mean, we are a proper football team, and I think he will supplement that and complement on the basis that he gets the ball, he's 2 steps ahead anyway. He knows where it's going. He doesn't have to stop, turn around. What do I do? He's one of those players. Well, I'm not going to go at Xhaka, but sometimes Xhaka got the ball in a good position, about we're on the ascendancy, and he suddenly stop and look around, have a look left. It's gone. That bit's gone. Listen, I'm not going to go, as I say, a fantastic season for us last season, and he did great for us. But sometimes when you get the ball in that position, you move it onto the next stage quicker, and all of a sudden there's a chance there that may not have been there otherwise. So on that, he's got a great vision as well. What I've seen, I just think it looks good. You know, he's whether he plays at 8 or whatever. All I know that in the team he is an upgrade. You know, if he's going to take Xhaka's position, which was the 8, I suppose, it's definitely an upgrade. Yes, he's not the captain like Xhaka was. He was the unofficial captain, Xhaka, wasn't he, in all fairness? And, you know, he had a lot of spirit and all that. Yeah, he probably hasn't got what Xhaka's got on that, but on the ball and perhaps off the ball and doing something with it, I think it's an upgrade. So I'm very happy we've got him in the team, and I can't wait to see him join us and playing for us. So he's joined us. Playing for us. I can't wait. I don't think he's going to be on the bench that much. Honestly, I think he's there for a reason.
I've never seen him smile such. I need to see some Chelsea pictures where you can tell me that he was smiling as much as he did now, because he looks a different person. And I think what we've got to understand is you've got to take those things into account. How happy is the player at the club that he's at? Chelsea fans would say he was lazy, lethargic. Like, you can't be that in Mikel Arteta's team. There's no time for it. Yeah. Like, that'll be knocked out of him. And I think you can tell that by the way by the time he came off in the Barcelona game, he was blowing a bit, because he's having to work that much. We're playing at a different pace to what Chelsea have done for the last 2 seasons. So you're definitely not getting that Kai Havertz that we had at Chelsea. And another thing that I noticed was Arsenal made a concerted effort in that first half, especially, to keep on putting the ball at the back post. It was like they didn't really want to do the short option or go down the byline and cut back. They wanted to chip it up at the back post, because they knew that Kai Havertz would be there, just to get into the feel of it, just to see the positional sense. And when it weren't Kai Havertz, it was Gabriel Jesus. So it's really good that we've got that option now. And Havertz scored 2 goals from it as well, and they're pretty similar goals in terms of the way he's knocked them in at the back post as well, which is always good to see. Some not so. Oh, what's he saying here? Havertz in the starting 11 with Rice and Odegaard. What are you saying on that one, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's the way it's going to go. It's how I would start. You know, if we're talking about playing our first 11 in the Community Shield on Sunday, yeah, that would be how I'd want it to be. You know, Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard. Totally agree.
And Melvin, what would you go for in the first game of the season?
That would probably be the team, but that wouldn't be. I'm going to take a bit of stick here. I think that wouldn't be necessarily my best team, because I would like to see a bit of a switch, really. Havertz play on the right and give Smith Rowe a chance, or Havertz still on the left and give Smith Rowe a chance, because he's very good, Odegaard. Yeah, we've got him having certain games, but certain games I don't think he shows up for. I really don't. I know he's our captain, and I think Smith Rowe, I just think he's wonderful, Smith Rowe. And basically, a fit Smith Rowe will give you 100%, and he'll do something every single game. You can rely on Smith Rowe, and I think that it's probably another talking point.
We've got to make.
We've
got 25 minutes left, though.
Well, very quickly, you've got to make a place for him. You've got to make a place for him. I love it.
No. We'll talk about Smith Rowe, because I think he's gonna be one of them players that more than Nelson did last season, but I think he's going to have an impact like that. When the forgotten man, we can call him. but he's come back. He's looking leaner. We heard about the fact that he could have had the option to come out on the US tour early or go on a break. He opted to go on the US tour because he didn't want to. He wanted to carry on his pre-season, which you got to love that, and you get that from HLM boys as well. So it would be good to have him play a big part or play any part in us winning something next season. Some not so good. So we had the good. It's time for the bad. It was Eddie. Eddie on tour. He played. He got a lot of minutes. Didn't come back with any goals. And it was a little bit underwhelming for him. I don't mind if a striker doesn't score goals as long as they look like they're going to score, as long as they look like in the right positions. That wasn't Eddie on this tour. Maybe he's trying too hard and he's not relaxed. Maybe he's got his mind set on, is it time to move on? It doesn't feel like there's a real place in the squad for him. But he was just not on it. And then when he did get in shooting opportunities, it was flat. He wasn't good. But the worrying thing for me about Eddie on this tour was that he just wasn't really in too many goal scoring opportunities, and that's his game.
Yeah,
his game is to get goals and be in and around the box. And if he's trying to play a different way, it's not working. He's not playing his natural game. What's your thoughts on it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, one of the very few at the tour that just never got going at all, does he? I mean, when I see him play, I forgot. I didn't know he was on the pitch. Didn't even know he was there. I mean, I only caught highlights. Funny enough, I say I caught highlights. So what's the quite? He played in the Manchester United game, didn't he?
Yeah, started.
Did he play in the Manchester United game? Yeah. I watched quite a bit of that game. He was awful, wasn't he? I didn't even know that was the game where I didn't even know he was on the pitch, and he just looks again. I'm not going to say the word like he didn't look like he was bothered, because I don't think Eddie's got that character at all about him. But he looked flat. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He looked like he had the world on his shoulders. I don't know if that was anything to do with, because I think although he wasn't great in the Manchester United game, I still thought there was plenty of effort from our players, and and I mean Balogun played as well, didn't he, in that game as well? Or he played an half.
He played in the All-Star game.
The MLS. Yeah, he
played the first one,
didn't he?
Didn't play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it worries me about Eddie. You look at him. Where is he going to get minutes from? It's hard to find where he is going to get minutes from, because you even think, like, if, for instance, you've got an Eddie on the bench. I mean, let's just say, like, hypothetically, that that Balogun's not there. No, even if he's not there, you could look at the bench and you'd probably want to bring Trossard on, wouldn't you? To stick up there instead of Eddie. So I wouldn't be surprised in this window about anything. From what I'm hearing, anything could happen in this window. I wouldn't be surprised now. Some of the things that have happened in this window already have shocked me. And I wouldn't be surprised if before the window went, maybe Eddie would, because he don't look right, and it's difficult for him to find game times. I mean, I wanted him to stay, but the way the team's developing around him, and the way you're seeing the players developing around him, he's just at this time. It's only pre-season, but he looked like a little bit of a lost sheep to me.
Yeah, it does kind of seem that he's getting left behind a little bit. It's almost like you go on school holidays, you come back, you was the tallest in the school. When you come back, everyone's taller than you. Eddie's been overtaken, and it's hard to catch up now. Melvin, Eddie, is it time for him to look for pastures new and try and get some first team football elsewhere, or have you still got a little bit of time and hope for him?
No, I think no. Those days are over for me. I hate to say this, but I fear that we've seen Eddie's ceiling last season when he took over from Jesus. Like for half a dozen games when he was leading the line, he was very, very good for him, and he was doing a lot good for us as well. Don't get me wrong, but I was thinking, cool, bloody hell, he's doing well. Your Man United game, good couple of goals, great header for the first, took his chance well for the second, but as time goes on, he seems to have gone back to the old Eddie we remember. So I don't know whether that was just a flip up before the decrease in his, energy and productivity. But I fear that could be the case. I would definitely think it would be good for Arsenal and good for Eddie if he moved on. I think he needs to play every week. He needs to prove himself. He needs a change because he's not going to play every week or anywhere near every week if he stays at us. He's going to just warm the bench and play a League Cup game here and there, and perhaps an easy FA Cup game here and there, and perhaps when we're 1-6-0 away, the home leg in the Champions League against a non-entity team, he'll play as well. That is not good for his career. He's young, but in view of the whole team, he's not that young. We've got a load of 24, 5-year-olds, and he's 23 now, 24. So, and also at that age, footballers should be developed, not 100%, but 90% developed, and he's nowhere near it as far as I'm concerned. I think, as I say, we've probably seen the ceiling. I hope I'm wrong, but I think it'd be good for all sides if he moved on. Yeah,
it does seem that way. I think it's important for his own development and his own career and his mind. He needs to prove to himself that he should be playing first team football at a club. Look, I think he's a Premier League level striker. I know people will be quite harsh and say he's Championship level, but he's not. I reckon if he plays 30 Premier League games, he probably gets you about 12 to 15 goals. But it's one of them players where he would need to be your main man. He would need to play 90 minutes every week, but he would get the goals. You saw that he got the goals. He gets in the right position. His finishing's pretty good, and when he's confident, he can put them in the net. But I think one of them needs to go, and I think when you look at Gabriel Jesus and Balogun, you've probably got two players that are more similar than Eddie, and Eddie's not different enough for me to be the man. He's not a tall bully of a striker that can get headers. He's relatively small and scores goals, and those sorts of strikers aren't really in much need at the moment. So yeah. What's Ryan saying? How did West Ham not push to get Eddie in the Ramsdale? Because they were being very stubborn with what they wanted, and it's quite funny to see how West Ham are doing their transfer business at the moment, trying to get players like Conor Gallagher for 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps when everyone knows they've got 100 million in their back pocket. It's like it was like the biggest transfer saga of the year. So everyone knows you've got that 100 million. So they're expecting you to spend some of it. So trying to get these players on a tuppence is not going to happen. So yeah, Eddie was the bad and the unfortunate. We spoke about a little earlier in Balogun. But this is the big story of this week. Arsenal are interested in David Raya of Brentford FC. But what happens to Aaron Ramsdale? So the news came out. Let's show this news. Well, the news came out that Arsenal are interested in goalkeeper David Raya, who has a year left on his contract. He's got close ties to Arsenal's goalkeeper coach, Canna. He said he helped him out a lot as a youngster when he was at Brentford as well. And yeah, it looks like Arsenal are very much interested in the Spanish international goalkeeper. There are probably many questions that people have got to ask. What happens to Ramsdale? Why are they going after Raya? There's also news that Matt Turner is sparking a little bit of interest from clubs like Nottingham Forest. And obviously he wants to get first team football, being the US #1 goalkeeper and captain as well. And he's obviously seen his development slightly stagnate as he sits on the bench at Arsenal and only gets games here and there. Steve, David Raya, was you quite surprised about the news about David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale? David Raya. We'll start with that one.
Shocked, mate. I think just never see this coming at all. I mean, I mentioned a little while ago about nothing surprised me. It's going to surprise me in this window, and this one was the one that was on my mind when I said those words a few minutes ago. Absolutely amazing. Personal terms are agreed. The player has told Brentford he wants to come to Arsenal. Arsenal and Brentford are now in conversation over signing David Raya. Absolutely mind blowed. So it just looks like David Raya, if they can agree with Brentford, which is between 30 and 40 million that they're quoting, David Raya's an Arsenal player. And the question is, what does that mean for Aaron Ramsdale? Because which was your question. Now, we have to take it that Arteta wants Raya. But as I said, personal terms agreed. It's done. It's all done, right? It's just so Arteta wants Raya. The way I'm looking at it, I'm looking at this is just a Joe Hart situation when Pep came in.
But Arsenal bought
personally.
But Arsenal bought Ramsdale, whereas Joe Hart was there already.
Yeah, they bought him. Yeah, but obviously Arteta has seen something in, because there's no way them to establish. They're saying that I've seen the Athletic reporting that that Raya's going to come in and fight for his place. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Right? There's no way he's came in to be a number 2. Raya's came in to be a number 1. And you cannot keep a Spanish international goalkeeper and an England international goalkeeper at the same club. I don't know this. I feel that Arteta is seeing something in Ramsdale that he doesn't like. I'm not a goalkeeper, Kieran. You're going to be the best person to answer this. But it's obvious that he's seen something in Aaron Ramsdale he don't like. Now, I'm not someone who goes with stats. As you probably know, I'm not a fan of them. But I did have a look at Aaron Ramsdale's stats, and I was quite blown away. How far down the list he is on Premier League goalkeepers in most things. Now, whether that's something to do with the reason why Arteta wants Raya in. Look, Raya's top. Last season, Raya was top of everything. Top of distribution, top of saves, top of this, top of that, top of this, top of that, top of this. Ramsdale was 7th, 8th, 12th, 2nd, and 1. All things like this. Now, I feel Arteta wants Raya as number 1. I'm positive he wants him as number 1. I think we've got to come to the conclusion. Well, nobody. I mean, it's my personal opinion, but I think we've got to come to the conclusion that I think Ramsdale's going.
See, I'll give my opinion in a minute.
I can't. How can you have those two? There's no way there's no way Ray has been brought. And we have to look at the Man City situation. Pep Arteta was there when Pep was there, when Joe Hart was there, and obviously Pep was ruthless with Joe Hart. You're not the guy. You can't do what I want you to do. You're out. He brought Bravo in. He wasn't good enough. He was out. He brought Edison in, who's we all know how good Edison is. And I think Arteta that's that frame of mind. because you can't have two goalkeepers like that in the same. It's impossible. I just can't. But mate, just to say, I'm absolutely shocked because I thought Ramsdale did all right. Yes, he had his faults. Yes, he made his mistakes, but all goalkeepers do. But Raya, just quickly on Raya, he is the real deal. He is really, really good. I mean, from what I've hearing, what I've seen, again, you'll be able to say, you know, more than probably me and Milv on it. But yeah, shocked. But at the same time, I think as Arsenal fans, you know, I mentioned about Arteta being ruthless, and my word, is he being ruthless? And as an Arsenal fan, this is what you have to be. You have to have a manager who's ruthless, who's the best, who wants the best. And if this is the way we have to go about it, then we have to support him in anything that he does.
All right, I'm going to go through some of the comments in a second after I get Melvin's side of things. Don't worry, this is a big topic, and we will be going through all of the questions and points that people have made in there. Melvin, was you surprised about interest in David Raya? And what's your thoughts on the situation with him and Aaron Ramsdale?
Well, first of all, shocked because we're allegedly looking at other players. I'm shocked that we're looking at other players, to be honest with you. I don't know where we got the money from. I only hope we haven't sold the Emirates when we get there in a couple of weeks. It's still there. Because I don't know where this money's coming from. You know what I mean? So I hope it's not down that an indoor stadium we've got to play in future. Anyway, it's I just don't understand it. And if you're right, Steve, if Arteta does let Ramsdale go in place of Raya, it's the most ruthless thing I've ever seen from any Arsenal manager.
Pep did it, didn't he?
No, but I'm talking about an Arsenal manager.
Yeah.
Aubameyang, that was ruthless.
Yeah.
He's ruthless.
Ozil, that was ruthless. But this, in my opinion, blows it out the window because this goes top of the tree. Because you're talking about a player who, up to 2 weeks ago, before this happened, you would have thought he's nailed on to be our Arsenal keeper for the next 8 or 10 years. The guy seemed to have fitted in from day one. Yeah, you cut him in half now, he would show Arsenal, you know. It's that type of situation. He gets the fans get him. Having said that, he has made his mistakes. And most of his mistakes have come from corners. There's been certain goals we've let in, where you would know, Kieran, where he's let the centre forward bully him. And you're a goalkeeper. You don't let that happen. You do not let that happen. And I think against Aston Villa, when we played at home, the guy we were looking to buy, the midfielder, scored direct from a corner. Goalkeepers, again, what's his name, the guy I'm thinking of? The Aston Villa guy, midfielder, strong guy.
Lewis.
Anyway, yes.
Douglas Lewis.
He scored direct from a corner, if you remember, to make it 1-1. That was shocking, Kieran, for a goalkeeper. Absolutely shocking. I think what he might do, he can't say to Raya, come and join us. We see how it goes. No. He's got to give him a little bit more than that. Because why would he do that? Why would he want to sit on the bench as a goalkeeper? And also, the back of my mind, I thought I read somewhere 6 months ago that this was his last season. I thought he was going to be there on a free. If you're going to take him on a free, then I can understand Arsenal doing the deal, sweetening it with a good wage. But the one thing you've got to remember, Kieran, if he comes to the Arsenal and you go to an Arsenal game, you've got to be very, very careful. A lot of people will be asking for your autograph.
Hey,
you look like his younger brother, mate. Don't you see it? What do you think, Steve? You had to get into the ground. You better get there 2 hours before kick-off on morning.
Now you say it. After you just said, I'm looking now. And he's Raya Mark II.
Raya Mark,
exactly.
And goalkeepers.
But it's a massive subject, like you said, and
it is.
It'll be the signing of the summer.
It's a crazy one. But I've got two views on it. First and foremost, if you're talking about stylistic style of play, goalkeepers, Matt Turner's not anywhere close to an Aaron Ramsdale, and he's not close to he's not a ball playing goalkeeper. He's very much more like a Petr Cech. you stick the ball at his feet, either wants to hoof it up the pitch or he's getting tangled up in his mind. So if we move him on, we do need to get in another goalkeeper. Now, do we go out and get a second goalkeeper? We've been there before. We bought Runnison, didn't work. We got a Matt Turner. It hasn't worked. It's just you can see the difference when you're bringing in a Matt Turner to what you've had with an Aaron Ramsdale. Who else is out there that you can get? Should have been relatively cheap. Geezer's got 1 year in his contract. Who else is out there that's a ball-playing goalkeeper that's going to keep the standards high as well? There's not many. There's the Leeds goalkeeper, but you're going to have to spend money on him, and I don't really rate him. I think he's too soft, too weak. Is it Melier or what his name is? There's not many. You can go abroad. I know Bayern Munich are usually ones, and Schalke are usually ones in Germany because that's the way they play. They play with their feet. But then again, all the top goalkeepers, all the top young goalkeepers are probably bought up by clubs as well. It's a big one. I don't think it's as cut and dry as what people think. I think people are seeing the fact that, yes, David Raya had good stats and he's a very good goalkeeper. Why would he come to a club? We've also got to remember, this is also a player that's come from, where did he come from? He was released at a club, come from non-league. Was he at Middlesbrough? Was it Blackburn, Brentford? Like, this is a time when I'm saying we are Arsenal. Like, and we can't forget that this time. This is David Raya. Yes, he's a very good goalkeeper, but we're not buying an Edwin van der Sar. We're not buying a Jan Oblak to be a competition. It's David Raya, and he's got 3 years on Aaron Ramsdale as well. And 3 years is a lot of years in as a goalkeeper. So I think Mark Goldbridge opened up a massive can of worms the other day on Aaron Ramsdale, and it was massively harsh because all of a sudden you had a contingent of Arsenal fans that started jumping on the bandwagon of, oh yeah, I've never rated him, I've always said all this rubbish. And then you had a load of people putting up stats. When if we watch him week in, week out, and we see what he does, we see why his passing stats may be in the lower half of the Premier League goalkeepers, because he takes risks. He takes risks. He puts that ball in between the midfield and the centre-back when there's 2 or 3 of their players around, and he just fizzes that ball into the centre midfield. That cuts out 4 or 5 of their players. Completely cuts them out. We break, and then we hit them on the break. Like, I think people are looking too much at stats when we're looking at Aaron Ramsdale. Yes, he needs to fix up on his... I feel like if Aaron Ramsdale's been out for a little while, he's been out for a couple of weeks, or he's missed a couple of games, his passing and distribution will be off. He needs to fix up on that. He needs to fix up on a sharpness in certain games. He needs to work on his concentration in games, because he's been used to playing in a team that are in a relegation battle where from the moment the whistle goes, when you're playing for Bournemouth and Sheffield United, you're getting peppered. So there's no time that you're not going to be warm. There's no time when your concentration is not going to be down. Whereas Arsenal in their second season, that was Arsenal. It was, you got to concentrate for the 90, because in the 70th minute, you may have a shot. You got to make sure you start in the game prepared right, because in that first minute, you may have a shot. Like, I feel like he's growing as a goalkeeper, but then he's getting better at one thing, he's losing it a bit on the other. Over time, he'll be excellent. He'll be excellent. We can't forget, like, I'm hearing people pull out stats about his shot stopping. Now, all of a sudden, Aaron Ramsdale's not a good shot stopper. Yet the season before, he's pulling off saves that we left us gobsmacked for like 2 weeks. The game that he had against Leicester, he pretty much single-handedly won for us, because he was pulling off save after save after save. So I feel like we forget very quickly about what these players have done, or what these players, and I'm not talking about, we need to give him a chance because the last 4 years he's been brilliant. I'm talking about last season. I'm talking about the season before. He was excellent. This goalkeeper has not fallen off the cliff. Like, yes, we look at stats, but we don't judge a player on stats. Like, we see what he does week in, week out. And as Rory, whatever his name is, and I don't like him as a pundit. He's a terrible talks absolute rubbish. But one thing he said this week was that how do you quantify for passion? And who's more passionate in this team than Aaron Ramsdale? Who lifts the team when players' heads are down? Who in the changing room is berating players because they need to fix up because they've conceded the goal and we've won the game 2-1, but we conceded the goal with 5 minutes left? Aaron Ramsdale. So yes, I think that we need to look at it as like David Raya's coming in. He's not going to be second best, but Aaron Ramsdale's not going to be second best. Aaron Ramsdale's not going to let someone come in and take his spot. He's going to see this as. I think Aaron Ramsdale will be looking at the headlines now and thinking, right, you want to take my spot? Good luck. Good luck. Come and join us. You'll have cup games, mate, because I ain't losing my spot. Aaron Ramsdale does not come across as the kind of person that lies back and takes anyone coming in to take his position at all. So David Raya can join, but Aaron Ramsdale is not giving up his position lightly. No way. And I don't think that Mikel Arteta is going to bring someone in and not give Aaron Ramsdale a chance to keep his shirt. He did it with Leno. Leno got injured. Aaron Ramsdale came in. Like, I don't see. Aaron Ramsdale's done nothing wrong to lose his position.
I agree with everything you said, Kears. Right, I agree with absolutely everything you said there. I can't not agree with anything you said. I have to. I'm putting myself in Mikel Arteta's head. You don't pay 35 million for a number 2.
What do you pay for a number 2?
You just don't.
But what do you pay for a number 2?
He's Spain's number 1, isn't he?
No, he's not. He's Spain's number 2 or 3.
2 is it?
But what do you pay for a number 2?
Yeah, I
15,
don't.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
15, 20. So what? You pay an extra 10 million and get someone who can really compete? Because we've been there. We've done the 15s and 20s. This is no different to bringing the Sambi Lukonga and hoping that he does well. It's no different to bringing in whoever and hoping he does well. Like, we're not in that position now to bring in a player and hope. We bring in the best we can.
But how does the dynamic work in the team? I mean, as you know, you're a goalkeeper, right? Goalkeepers is a different breed, right?
Yeah.
You've got 2 world-class goalkeepers. One of them can't play. Can't play. You can't say you play one week, you play the next week.
You can't.
You right? You're it's either you Ramsdale or you're Raya. So Arteta's had a conversation with David Raya. What has he said to him? Coming with your number 2, give me number 2. Surely someone as Raya's ability is going to say, no, I'll go and play for one of the top clubs in the world somewhere else and start. Would I want to come in and play number? This is what I can't. As an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking this is wonderful. You know, that we're absolutely talking like this. We can bring in another world-class goalkeeper and be a number 2. That would be amazing if we had this like Galactico Premier League Galactico bench, you know, which seems to be that we're building. But he's obviously had this conversation with Raya, and he's had a conversation, and there's no way Raya would come to Arsenal as a 2. No, I just can't. I can't see it. I just can't. I can't see it. You know, for them to get on the great dynamic, to battle without each other, but one of them's going to have to sit on the bench, and they're both, both of them have got, ideas of being number 1 for their country. Yeah. If they're number 2 at Arsenal, they're not going to be number 1 for their country because they're not going to be playing. So I can't get my head. I love it as a fan. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm in dreamland here. This is unbelievable. We've got Declan Rice, Havertz, Reyes coming in, Timber. Who next? You know.
So was Raya taking Manuel Neuer's place at Bayern Munich?
What is that? Where he was?
That's the other club that's after him. Is Raya coming in and taking Manuel Neuer's place?
Yeah, how old is Neuer? Neuer's about 37, and he's 38.
37. Yeah, but he's 37.
I might have said in a year's time, you're in, mate. In a year's time.
Ramsdale's 22, isn't he?
Ramsdale's 24.
I can't get my head around it. It's it's mad.
Yeah, I completely understand. But it's even for David Raya. Are you gonna sell it to David Raya that you're gonna be sitting on the bench for a year? You got to wait for a year, or are you saying to David?
What have you said to Raya?
Most
What have we
people
said?
would.
What has Arteta said to Raya?
He
we don't.
said-
He's not here yet. You know, so we don't know. But personal terms are agreed.
Yeah,
He's told Brentford that I want to go and play for Arsenal Football Club. I don't want to go to Bayern Munich. Don't want to go there. He literally told them that I don't want to go to Bayern. I want to play for Arsenal.
And I suspect there's more reason. Yeah, but I suspect there's more reason
why
to also not go to play in Germany because it's lifestyle as well.
Yeah, probably. But he could go to Chelsea. He could have gone to a Tottenham.
But can he go to Chelsea? Are Chelsea after him?
In the same boat as Chelsea. Be in the same boat as Chelsea.
Then Chelsea aren't after him. The two clubs that are after him. The two clubs that are after him.
Behind Kepa.
Yeah, but Chelsea aren't after him. But Chelsea aren't after him. Chelsea are looking at Sanchez from Brighton. Like
that's mad and all.
It's all well and good that we can place these goalkeepers in different teams, but how the scenarios too much distant? Yeah, Manuel Neuer is 37, but Manuel Neuer is also the greatest goalkeeper that's ever played for Bayern Munich. And how long can he actually go on for? As long as he wants to. If Manuel Neuer says, actually, do you know what? I can go on for another 2 seasons. I guarantee Bayern Munich are giving him an extension for another 2 seasons. Like I think this is definitely a time when we need to look at this. In my eyes, as look at where he's come from and look at where he's potentially going to. Bayern Munich and Arsenal are after him, and that's the best move he has ever had in his life. It's the best offer he's ever. He's currently at Brentford, and Brentford are doing well, but one bad season they're back in the Championship. It's levels to it, and I completely understand that he would not have been sold any sort of "you're coming in a second." But I feel like he's going to be told the same thing as everyone else. You've got as much chance of playing in this team as anyone else has, or as Aaron has, as Runnison has, as
Mel,
Turner has.
Sorry, but Keys, just one more question. One more question. What happens when someone comes in and one's established as a number one, whether it's Ramsdale and Raya, the attitude of that other goalkeeper?
You can't.
Knowing that he's the number 2 going to play in a cup game and he's going to play in the odd FA Cup.
For a season, I think you'll be all right. For a season, I think you'll be all right. For a season, I think goalkeepers are made of stern stuff. Like we accept there's one position in the team, and if we're going to go to a team, we're fighting for a place. Like I get that.
Do you think
third goalkeeper's the only position where you're resigned to not playing?
Do you think one would have to go though? Do you think
I think you'll get the season 18 months out. But I think that Mikel Arteta looks at this like we can't deny what we've seen from Aaron Ramsdale and what he's like around the team.
This is the shock.
How connected he is with the manager and how much faith we have in him, and the fact that we've given him a new 4-year deal. Like I really do think it's a situation where, do you know what? This goalkeeper's quality. He's got a year left in his contract. Let's test the waters and see how much we can get him for. I don't think Arsenal are going to pay. Brentford want 40 million. If Arsenal pay 40 million for him, we're crazy. He's got a year left in his contract. Let's play the game. Let's play the game. Bayern Munich have already said we ain't paying that. Because they're not silly. He's got a year left in the contract. So why should Arsenal go, yeah, okay, there's 40 million. He's got a year left. And people will say, Declan Rice, completely different. Declan Rice and David Raya are not the same. They're not in the same conversation. A year left, you're getting him at a discounted price, otherwise he's going on a free. He's not signing a new contract. He said he's not signing a new contract. So, yeah. Melvin, any 2 pence worth before I go to the comment section?
No, I agree with what you said. Really, I understand. I'm still shocked. I still don't understand it. But I think the only way I can see it working, and that's in Arteta's mind. I can't read his mind. Never could. Never will be able to. Is that he might say to him, "Look, the pair of you've got a year to prove yourself. Both of you now. It's level pegging. Go for it." And it might even make Ramsdale go up a notch.
I
That
think
thing
it
I
will.
spoke about before, about the back of his mind. We're not doing it
Yeah.
purposely. Back of his
Yeah.
mind thinking, who's going to, is it me or Turner, mate? Come on, who's going to pick, right? He can't think that anymore. So
I've been there.
You must have done it yourself. That's right.
I've been there.
Are you going to pay
in
30
teams.
million though for that? Are you going to pay?
But
30 million?
we don't know what the price is going to be. Look,
It's
we're
all
in a
speculation, isn't it? It's all
speculation. We're in a situation where Brentford want 40 million, but there's only 2 clubs in for him at the moment, and one of them said we ain't paying 40 million. So why should Arsenal even pay 30? Like go in there with a low ball. We lowballed Declan Rice for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they were screaming only 100 million will do. Like we didn't care. We still went in for a low ball. I like 2 seasons ago. Would this have been a shock that David Raya was coming in as a competition? It wouldn't have been. It's only a shock because of what we've seen over the last 2 seasons.
Am I rating him too highly? Because I think this geezer's a world-class goalkeeper. Maybe
I don't think either are world class.
No, I don't think you. I don't know world class.
Because if Bayern Munich want him to take over from Neuer, to me, he must be looking at him as world class. And from what I'm hearing from like people speak, I haven't watched him greatly at Brentford, but from everybody who speaks about him, he's saying, yeah, he's one of the best in the Premier League. He's up there with Edison's and all like this. So this is where my thinking is.
He's very good on the deck.
I mean, we never heard of Edison, did we? No, we heard of Edison before he came.
No, but we've seen Edison. We've seen Edison consistently.
We never knew who he was though.
Yeah, no, but Edison came in as what? A 19-year-old goalkeeper, a protege from Benfica. Like he was the guy. He was the guy. Like, and David Raya, he's a very good, but we can't be speaking of him in the same breath as Alisson and Edison. Form-wise,
not
he's
now.
Been up there. No, but still, but form-wise, he's been up there. He's been up there. But we're talking about Edison and Alisson will go down as Premier League greats. And Edison, right now, is my favourite goalkeeper. He's a bully. He's not scared. He's brave. He's an excellent shot stopper, and his distribution's outstanding. David Raya is a good, top quality goalkeeper. He's not world class. He's probably hit his bar, if I'm honest. He's 27. I can't see him getting too much better, but he'd be an excellent player to join Arsenal, whether that's first or as competition for Aaron Ramsdale. But I see Aaron Ramsdale's bar. If we put all of what we've seen, the best of Aaron Ramsdale, his distribution and his shot stopping, coupled together with the way he is around the squad, his leadership skills, his bar's much higher than Raya, much higher. And I think it would be ludicrous, very short-sighted as well, to just move on Aaron Ramsdale because there's been a couple of tricky moments where he's been caught off guard. Like Aaron Ramsdale can get better. I've been in this situation before where you're looking around, you're like, there ain't no one here that's taking my spot. And you don't purposely drop off, but there might be a couple of things. You're not on your toes as much. And eventually you get caught short. And then you've got to motivate yourself. He don't need to motivate himself because now there's headlines all over the place claiming that he's going to be taken over and that David Raya's going to take his spot. And he will be seeing this. He's not silly. And he will be pumped up and ready. He's got that attitude. And I love that we've got players in the team that got that attitude and that aren't going to roll over and just take it. Players like Kieran Tierney. Zinchenko comes in, he still wants to fight for his place. That's an Aaron Ramsdale. I see no different. Let me just quickly go through some of the comments. Ray is a good keeper, but I think we need a goal scorer as priority before a challenger for Ramsdale's spot. Johnny, I think personally, this is my opinion. I think it's Arsenal taking an opportunity where that arises. You're talking about a goalkeeper as good as Raya, who's got 1 year left in his contract. How many other goalkeepers are there about that have got a year left that are good with their feet, that fit the profile that Arsenal were looking for? It's not too many. So I just think it's a case of take the opportunity while it's there. When has 2 elite goalkeepers ever worked? It's not. Very rarely. Very rarely.
I think that's my point. That's my point, I think.
Ray is a quality goalkeeper, absolutely pointless signing unless Ramsdale has had a falling out with Arteta. I don't see that. He's Northern.
Do you see, like, I'm just thinking there, like you say Ramsdale's, how old's Ramsdale?
24.
Do you think there's something in Arteta's scene where we think, well, maybe Ramsdale can learn from Raya? Because I see things in Raya that I would like Ramsdale to do.
100%.
And Ramsdale's only young, you know. And
100%.
Ramsdale's going to be our goalkeeper, say, for the next 10 years, for instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Raya may be something where he thinks, well, maybe Raya is that full package what I'd like now Ramsdale to be of a whole. So he can that type of thing.
100%. 100%. And I also think we've been surprised by previously when goalkeepers have gone to clubs. But where was it? It's a bit different because he was more older. But like when Rob Green went to Chelsea, he'd just come out of a team which was for Norwich. He'd not long been in the England squad, and he was like, he's going to Chelsea. Like, what? But it happens. You see these players go to clubs and not resigned to sitting on the bench, but they've been sold something, and do you know what? They're getting on board. Plus, look, Arsenal's the most sought after club to join at the moment, so I wouldn't put it past anyone joining. He also said you have other areas to improve before goalkeepers to look at. Yeah, but where? And in those, say, right wing, I don't think the goalkeeper coming in stops a right winger coming in. And I've not really seen anyone that Arsenal really identified as that option on the right. I can see us filling the gap with the multitude of attacking midfielders that we've got at the moment. It's the 2 billion the Kroenke made from the other endeavours. Yeah, I mean they've made a lot of money from American football. They're one thing that you can't deny what the Kroenkes do when they got their bit between the teeth with a certain team, they win it. They win something, and they don't stop until they do. So I do think this is that's a part of it as well. Arteta wanted Raya before Ramsdale, but obviously Ramsdale was the deal we could get to do at the time. This is ruthless from Arteta. Yeah, he definitely wanted Raya at the time, but yeah, we will see. Question: do you think Rambo needs further development, and because of his age, he feels he is better placed to do it out of pressure week in, week out in the Premier League? Or maybe no, I do think that Rambo has got a lot of development. 100%. Like, he's 24. Goalkeepers won't ain't at their peak until they're about 30. They've made all their mistakes. They're calm on the ball. They've seen every situation there is, and they know what to do in those situations. So yeah, I do think that he's.
Do you know what he could have done as well? Another thing I thought he could have told David Raya, "You're my Champions League goalkeeper."
Again, the pull of the Champions League.
That is a big thing.
But even if he hasn't laid it out like that, the lure of the Champions League for a player like David Raya, who I'll pull up the clubs that he was at, but I'm pretty sure he was at a non-league club at one point. Is like these things we cannot forget. We cannot forget these things. Because it will be, it's a place he probably never thought he would get. Even into the Premier League from playing at Blackburn and then going to Brentford. Like, did he really think he'd be playing in the Premier League? And then after that, did he think that he'd be back in the Spain squad? Did he think he'd be playing the Champions League? I don't think he did. Think he did. He was at Cornelia Youth, then he was at Blackburn under 18s, come through the youth at Blackburn, was at Southport on loan and went to Brentford for 1.5 million. So yeah, he's been a championship player all his life. So I don't think he would have expected to be playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world at any point, if I'm honest. The real reason I don't like Raya deal is because it will cause havoc with my fantasy football body double. That was from earlier. Why did you open up that can of worms, you lot? Being so ruthless with popular members of the squad could cause Arteta to lose squad harmony. no saying I don't agree with being ruthless, but I don't understand the reasoning with this. I think it's the squad harmony. I think it will be down to the way that Ramsdale reacts. And from what I've seen of Ramsdale, he doesn't seem like the kind of person that would sulk in this situation. He seems like the kind of person that would find it as a challenge. And I think he would get better by playing with someone who's a similar type, who we, as you said earlier, Steve, or Johnny had said it, could learn off of Raya. Could learn things off of Raya. 100%. Composure.
I mean, look how well Joe Hart was liked at Man City. He was like, they loved him. And Pep was like, see you later.
Yeah.
Not what I want.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the defence left Ramsey exposed the end of last season, 100%. And I do think there's a bit of both in there. I do think that, like, for instance, there was a goal on the tour where it hit the wall and Ramsdale was out of position. But no one's talking about the fact that the ball got hit at Martin Odegaard and Martin Odegaard turned his back on it.
He went like that.
Which then went to the goal, which was what Aaron Ramsdale was shouting at Martin Odegaard about. Stand in the wall, stand up flat. Why are you turning your back? But everyone's looking at the fact that Ramsdale's chasing the ball into the back of the net. So, yeah, I do think that the defence didn't help Ramsdale, but Ramsdale at points didn't help himself. If Ramsey picks up a knock, are we happy with Turner then? And this is what I'm saying. I think the drop-off is too much, Daniel. And I think the style of plays is too different. How you doing, Daniel? Different, Daniel. He's actually Spain number 3 behind Simon and Sanchez of Brighton. Yeah. Sanchez is the one that Chelsea are looking at the moment as well. You certainly don't play 30 million for a backup keeper. We don't do backups anymore, people. I think we need to get over that. It's very hard. Yes, we've got players in the squad like Saka, who you probably say is undroppable. Saliba, you might add that in there. Who else is really undroppable in this squad? Like
Martinelli.
Martinelli, but is he?
I think so.
We swapped him out for Trossard last season at points.
Saka, I think Odegaard's undroppable. Personally,
I don't.
I do. 15 goals last season. God knows how many assists. You don't get that from an attacking. He was only second to De Bruyne. So.
Yeah, but what we're not talking about, there's a contingent of people that want Arsenal to bring in a 20-goal a season striker.
Nonsense.
Are we dropping Gabriel Jesus? He costs 50 million. So I think we need to move away from this. Do we do it for a backup? Goalkeepers is slightly different. It's very different. But we're talking about someone who needs to challenge a young goalkeeper. He needs to challenge. And let's have it right. Aaron Ramsdale was in no position to turn around after one season of a bit of a challenge and say, I want to leave. Because as a manager, I'll be like, grow some balls and stick it out and fight for your place because you've got it in you to do so. And I think that Mikel Arteta will be pumping out that message amongst the team and anyone that comes into this team. No one's place is guaranteed because we don't want that. We don't want that.
He wants 2 players for every position, doesn't he? It just seems that that's what he wants.
Exactly. Rice has actually had a year for an extension in his clause. That's why, mate. No, you're right. He did. I didn't see Rice invoking it, but he did say he wasn't going to put a transfer request in as well. So, yeah, Rao's definitely one of the best on the ball goalkeepers in the league. Yeah, I agree. Ramsdale is still a young goalkeeper, but I'm baffled by this interest. You're not going to find anyone good enough to challenge Saka for his place and sit on the bench for most of the season. That's like, well, how do you sell it? And then you don't have a right midfielder who's going to come in to be competition or a backup for Saka then, do you? So you've got to sell it or bring in a player who is as good or near enough that he is good or slightly different. It's tough. But if you're going to... Man City have made it... Well, made people think that it's the norm to have two teams good enough to get top 6. It's not normal. But if we want to compete with Man City, this is what we've got to do. In Madrid, we once had Casillas and Lopez under Mourinho, but no one died. There we go. You can stop crying in the river from Ramsdale. If he's that good, he can retain his number 1 spot no matter who's coming in. Incoming of Ram. There we go, Daniel. Thank you very much. There we go. No one died, and they had Lopez and Casillas. I think Real Madrid also had Keylor Navas and Coutinho, and Navas came into the team for about a season, and Coutinho's now got his spot back again, and he's regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So, Courtois, sorry, not Coutinho. You'll be doing kick-ups on the line. That is all we have time for. We've definitely gone over here, but it was a subject that we could not miss out on. Aaron Ramsdale. We're trying to get a transfer special in sometime. We're trying to focus more on the transfers, but it's a big old topic, and everyone was getting involved as well. Thank you for everyone who's got involved in the comment section. Really appreciate it. Good to see you all there. Good to see you, Daniel, Johnny, a new Daniel there, Russ, Boyce. Russ again, Ryan, Fitz, good to see you. Thank you for the support there. Make sure you press that like and subscribe, people, if you are new to this. If you are a regular on the show, obviously press the like and press the share button. Thank you for joining us, boys. Thank you for joining us, Melvin and Steve.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you.
No worries. Steve, you good? Mic's gone? Yeah, your mic's gone. I was say it's not like you to be quiet, Steve. All right, peace out, people. He said Melvin's a star. Looking at you, got a number 1 fan there, Johnny. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.